Okay, a very good morning to everybody. So today I'm going to represent my slide, which I make sometimes in November online to this conference, Third Auckland International Conference on Social Sciences, Education, Entrepreneurship, and Technology. So I attend online. I did not attend the physical conference. So this my topic is on entrepreneurial intention and behavior link. So basically, this topic is talk about whether a graduate will start their business upon graduation or not. So always there is a strong intention normally will lead to the action of starting a business. So that is called behavior. But this all depend on or became moderated by in my research. I argue that there are three moderators that will affect the link to from intention to behavior. So the first moderator, COVID-19 perception. Second one is the entrepreneur motivation. And third one is entrepreneur exposure. So when we talk about perception, mean basically we talk about business environment, whether you consider this business is more hostile or benign. Okay, next one is a motivation. So what the driving force to start your own business? So what are the prime motivator? So normally the prime motivator is money. And third one is whether you have exposure or not in this entrepreneurship or in running a small business. Like for example, your family members, your brother and sister, or you are mixing with a group of businessmen. So under this condition, most likely your link will be stronger. So this is my argument. So without much ado, this is my co-partner, Dr. Chiang and also Dr. Daisy. Okay, so without much ado, let's go through my presentation. So basically, my study would like to study the link between entrepreneur intention and behavior based on the theory of Eisen, 1991 theory of brain behavior. So in my study, I argue that three primary moderators will strengthen the behavior, the intention to start the business. Okay, when you talk behavior, mean the action of starting a business, not only intention. My moderator will be perception, COVID-19 perception, entrepreneur motivation, and entrepreneur exposure. So if you have these three moderator, chances is you can strengthen the link because based on the study, we found that only 30 to 50% of people starting their actual business, even though they have a strong intention, but only they start their business only 30 to 48%. Okay, so I would like to argue that because of this low conversion rate, so this is justified further to make further study. Okay, so I make 4 propositions in my research, explain why entrepreneur with intention will act to start their business. Okay, I also discuss some theoretical and practical discussion. Okay, so this is my introduction, and we talk about country level. So country level, I think every country would like to place a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurship because they want graduate to become a job creator rather than a job seeker. Why? Because when we talk about globalization, normally we talk about uncertainty in drawing foreign direct investment. So we cannot be very sure of creating enough job for our people. So most of the country, even in Malaysia, they place a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurship because they want the entrepreneur. We want to create more entrepreneur to create job. So because of why? Because we have uncertainty in terms of globalization and also uncertainty because of the industrial so-called AI-driven robotics revolution. Because of that, we are not sure whether job is enough or not. It's enough to support the graduate. Therefore, if you look at the country level would like to look for more people to start their business. Okay, yeah. So objective, so this is my objective. Then we refer to my model. Later I'll show you my model. So we talk about theoretical framework. Okay, so we would like to know the link between intention and behavior. And this one is moderated by perception, motivation, and exposure. Okay, next one. I will try to argue that we have a research gap. My motivation of doing this business is always, I will say that there are little is known about the link between intention and behavior in developing country like Malaysia. And therefore, it is justifiable to make further study. So my study, I also argue that there are a lot of contingent factor or moderator, or we call depend on a contingent factor that affect the link between intention and behavior. So because why? Because we look at some of the literature that Sharon had mentioned here, people do not always do what they intend to do. Because why? It means they argue that whether when you have a strong intention, not necessarily you will start to take the action of doing it. For example, we talk about I intend to buy a TV, but I'm not really buy a TV because maybe depend on my financial constraint. Right? I have a strong intention to buy a car, but I might not buy it right now because I don't have other factors that affect me. Okay, so this is the argument. So because we talk about the intention and behavior, the link is not so strong, or we say the link is inconclusive and have a mixed finding. Therefore, it is worthy to make further study to know the moderator. So I argue that there are three moderators that can affect the link. One is the COVID-19 perception. Next one is entrepreneur motivation and bio-entrepreneur exposure. Okay, so this is literature. You look at literature, there are many literatures, but most of them, they talk about the process of starting the business. Okay, so we would like to know the process of entrepreneurial process of starting a business. So this is important because most of the country, they would like to see how we can improve the process of starting the business. So normally they'll look at the intention. Intention is the foundation of entrepreneurial process. So we would like to know whether the intention can be transformed into the actual act of starting their own business. Okay, just like I intend to buy a TV, I'm not necessarily a buy. Okay, when the actual buying the TV, there's called behavior. So the same thing here. When you talk about entrepreneur behavior, mean basically you actually take the decision to start your own business. Okay. Okay, so next one we talk about the link. So this is a link. There are many scholars who talk about intention. So we talk about intention means the psychological state that guide the entrepreneur intention toward entrepreneur goal. So normally the entrepreneur goals is normally to make money, to enjoy some form of freedom. Okay, so when you talk about behavior, mean basically the act of putting your good idea into action. Okay, that means you really transform, really take action to start a business with your entrepreneur idea. So you look at the many scholars, they are also talk about the link between this intention and behavior under this Eisen theory of planned behavior. But according to Adam and Allen, they mentioned that entrepreneur intention only can explain about 30% of variance of starting the business. So people start business not necessarily because of intention. There might be other reason. Therefore, this is a so-called area where it's a fertile land to start their own research. Because this link is still going to some scholar, they say only 30%. 30% explain the behavior. Okay, so but but some scholar argue that entrepreneur intention is a stable construct to predict behavior. Okay, to predict behavior. So some people say, though we have a strong intention, but according to this Jiansu and Solo, they mentioned that the behavior is only can be transformed 3 years to 6 years later. So this is some of the research done on whether they will start the actual business. For example, you look at Mr. DIY. Mr. DIY is started by USM students. They did not start their business immediately upon graduation. They start their business, I think, 5 years later, if I'm not wrong. So Mr. DIY is an example of a graduate starting their own business. They started around, I think, 5 years, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so this is some example. So we would like to know why this link is still, there's a gap. There's a gap between intention and behavior. So it's a fascinating area to study. Okay. So we talked about perception. Last time we talked about COVID-19 really can affect business. Some positively, some negatively. Positively, I think perception on COVID-19, like for example, e-commerce, I think most of the e-commerce business, online business, they enjoy good business because of COVID-19 lockdown. Okay, so also some people would like to start their business because they feel that COVID-19 give them the opportunity. So it depends on whom do you talk to, whether the business environment, is it hostile or benign or stable. So this is some of the criteria. Some of the criteria, maybe I draw this. So if it's a hostile, benign, stable, or dynamic. So if it's a hostile environment, normally this will not encourage people to start a business. But if it's the environment is benign, most likely you will start your own business. You will start your own business. So because this is a good perception. So there are people who depend on whom you talk to. If you talk to the hotel people, then they say this COVID-19 is very bad to affect them. But now in the era post COVID-19, we can predict that tourism, hotel tourism business will come back. Okay, so this is some of the I would say it's a moderator. So in my research, I argue that COVID-19 perception will definitely affect the link between intention and behavior. Okay, so this is my first moderator. The second moderator is the motivation. So what motivates you? What motivates graduate student to start their business? So what the energy, what the extra energy that drive the entrepreneur to venture into this business? Okay, so we always believe that motivation is a prime factors for young and inspiring entrepreneur to start a business. So we prefer people who have strong motivation, people who have strong energy, people say fire in the belly to start their business. So definitely, that means they must be quite hungry for success. So this is the argument. This is the argument that people start their business because they have a strong motivation. But if you look at the another author they mentioned here, there's another literature they mentioned here, behavior and intention only can explain 48%. Okay, that means that another 52% can be due to other factors. So this, in my study, I argue that if you have a strong motivation, most likely the link can be stronger. The link between intention and behavior can be stronger. So because you look at a lot of literature, I will consider they have inconclusive finding or mixed results, a mixed finding. So I definitely argue that entrepreneurship, entrepreneur intention, and behaviorally are strongly influenced, moderated by entrepreneurial motivation. Okay. Okay. The third one, which I argue in my research, is bio-entrepreneur exposure. That means looking at the history of the entrepreneur themselves. So are they related to entrepreneurship, or they have parents who have starting their own business, or they have exposure. They always like to join those businessmen. Most likely they have better knowledge and better skill. They have better confidence to start a business. So I will argue that this is a special entrepreneur capital when you have knowledge, skill, and know-how and practical wisdom, or maybe you have a strong mentor So if your parents are businessmen, most likely your parent will be a strong mentor to guide you. So under this environment, most likely the intention to take action of intention to start business are stronger. I mean, you can be quite sure of taking action to start a business. So when we have this sort of environment, that include your work environment, your work experience, most likely you have a strong intention to start your own business. Okay, so when you look at that, normally we will argue, like for example, this Zhang, the stress bio entrepreneur exposure. I mean, your knowledge in entrepreneurship, your relationship with your entrepreneur, or you have extra knowledge can moderate the intention to starting their own business. Okay, so I strongly believe in this point because normally we have if their parents are businessmen, most likely their son also a businessman. So they are more or less have that kind of relationship because you have more confidence. You have a strong mentor to guide you or strong family member to guide you to start your business. Because starting a business is quite risky. So we talk about benefit, we also have to talk about risk. So when you are able to minimize your risk, most likely your decision will be stronger to start your own business. Otherwise, you will become a risk avoidance. Okay, so based on that, so this is my theory. My theory, I'm using this Eisen theory of planned behavior. Okay, so my area of research is only this link. Okay, I already named this link. This one, attitude, subjective norm, and perceived behavior, perceived behavior control. So what's your attitude toward business? Strongly affect intention. Your subjective norm, that means your family member. Here, this one again, subjective norm is the family member or your friend that can affect your intention. Then this one is how much confidence you have. Okay, so perceived behavior control. Okay, and then my link is here. So my argument is this link of starting the business, actual starting a business is, I mean the behavior is basically influenced by intention and moderated by what I mentioned here, moderated by COVID-19 perception, moderated by motivation, moderated by exposure. So this link to my literature and my theoretical framework. So this is my theoretical framework. So entrepreneur intention. So you have intention. Just now we mentioned here it's around 30 to 48% only. Some people argue that. So the link is here, but there are other factors. So other factors unknown. That means basically behavior can be explained by entrepreneurial intention by only 30%. The rest are unknown. So I argue that those factors are the moderator will plays a role in enhancing the link. Maybe if we have a positive COVID-19 perception, okay, entrepreneur motivation and poor exposure, I mean, that will enhance the link between intention to behavior. Okay, perception on COVID-19 also can negatively affect. So depend on which industry you talk about. Okay, so I mentioned, I argue that the intention of the perception, it can be negative, it can be positive, it can be hostile and benign. Okay, so if it's hostile environment, most likely you won't start at all. But it's a benign, most likely you will start your business, especially during COVID-19 pandemic, most likely start online business. You look at restaurant, and now I think now they switch back to physical. So it all depends on the environment, okay? Depend on the situation. Okay? So this is my argument. So this is my hypothesis, because I did not start to do the data collection. I call this as proposition. Okay, say this is positive related to intention, positive related to behavior, and this one perception of moderate relationship. So with the presence of positive COVID-19 perception, most likely the link will be higher. Similarly, my motivation and also exposure. We have entrepreneur with strong motivation entrepreneur with a strong, high degree of exposure, most likely they will start a business. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is my methodology. I'm using online survey. Okay. I also together with the drop-off pickup. That means I drop my survey form to a friend, entrepreneur, to the respondent, so that I can enhance my response rate. So to do this survey, I also test my questionnaire. I make sure my questionnaire people can understand. I would like to do a pilot test to make sure I get a proper response before I do a large scale survey. So my instruments are based on all the established scholar, entrepreneur intention, based on this Lina and Chen, and entrepreneur behavior, based on this Ben Gergeron. Okay, and then perception is by this Hamadex, so Sanchez, and then motivation is by this stereophonic peak. Okay, and then exposure is based on this Soria Reto. Okay, so to do the data collection. So I'm using the judgment sampling. So I tend to use Smart PLS to collect roughly 150 respondents. Okay, so this is my methodology. So my conclusion, I strongly believe that the COVID-19 entrepreneur motivation and entrepreneur exposure will strengthen the link between intention and behavior. So let's look at my brief implication. So when we talk about implication, is those people who are policymakers, policymaker, practitioner, and researcher, whether they believe the theory of planned behavior expounded by Eisen. So we talk about entrepreneurship. So why entrepreneurship is important? Because entrepreneurship is good to promote domestic economy and also can create job. When you have great job, most likely you can uplift the standard of living, right? So when we talk about more research is necessary because we really want to convert the intention into behavior, not only based on intention. We want people to take real action. Okay, so we would like to understand the link. Or in this case, if in moderator such as COVID-19 perception, motivation, and exposure are important, therefore, entrepreneur, practitioner, or policymaker have to look at how to promote these three factors, how to enhance these three factors. Okay, so because why? Because we really need people not only to start the business. So we really want people to take action. So this is a question of what are the intentions more or less likely to get translated in action. So this is the question. So I argue that the three motivator, will strengthen to get people to translate their intention into starting on business. Okay, so when we talk about practitioner, we also talk about people who are running the business. Who are running the business, how to make sure they have the action of starting new business. So when we talk about existing business, mean we are talking about also talk about expanding their existing new venture. New venture. So also they are the one who are be affected. So they also like to know what are the factors, what are the moderator that can strengthen their intention to venture into new business. Okay, okay, future research. So this is my study I mentioned here. Always, we would like to know, we would like to know what are the factors that can play a role. So I always argue that culture also play a role. Culture play a role to start a business. You look at a country, some countries are very dynamic because they have their strong national culture. Some at the society level, you can see some certain race are very good in certain industry. So then I believe strongly that is affected by their way of life, their belief, their value, their norm, right? Okay, so this is will affect the culture. And then also we talk about economic condition that link to the COVID-19. So if the environment is good, there are a lot of opportunity. Most likely people would like to start a business. Okay. Also, in my other research, I also find an opportunity, ability to spot business opportunity is also play an important role, right? If there are plenty of opportunity created by progressive or dynamic economy, most likely people will start a business. Other than that, I think my government also play a role, government play a role in promoting business because they can give special incentive. Okay, so this is some of the area. So I certainly believe that entrepreneur intention is a research area that are affected by many factors. Many factors. That's why I will argue that global business environment also affect the intention to convert into the business idea into starting their own business. Okay, so we talk about starting a business means self-employment. Self-employment. Therefore, I think as a whole, I think this research on entrepreneurship will be, I would say, I will attract a lot of attention because most of the country still place a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurship. Okay, so we like to create more entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship also can promote innovation, right? You look at Korea example, Korea example. You look at US as an example. You look at China as an example. They always promote entrepreneurship to drive their economy at the same time to drive their job creation. So I think future research will have to look at the condition of starting the business. Okay, so this is my study. Okay, yeah, this is my reference. My reference. Those are my reference. I think this paper is published in one of the journal. I think I'm not sure because when you attend a conference, they will publish your paper in the journal. In the selected journals. Okay. Yeah, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time. I would like to share this I would like to, if you have any question, you can ask me. I would like to answer. Yeah. Is that Muhammad Azim?
Yes.
Okay, so I already made my presentation. If there's no question, I will stop here.
All right, sure. So the next presenter will be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ng.
Yeah.
So the next presenter will be Miss Kok Weng Mei. Ms. Kok Weng Mei, I think we can't hear you.
I think you are muted.
Still no song. No, still. Maybe you can change your device settings because you are using external mic.
Hello?
Now can. Now and
Okay.
clear.
All right. Okay, I can start now. Okay. So good morning, everyone. My name is Wing Mei, and I'm from a student from Master of Science Engineering. And today I'm going to present my conference paper with the title of Finite Element Analysis on the Roughness Effect to Geometrically Necessary Dislocation under Microindentation. So what is a microindentation? Microindentation is a test to use to measure the hardness of the material in small scale. For example, the image on my right side, I have an indenter and a sample of material. So when the indenter is moved towards to the sample with the load is applied, and it will left an irreversible deformation on the sample surface when the indenter is removed. So for the hardness in macroscopic scale is known as a constant, but not in a micro and nano scale. The hardness in micro and nano scale is dependent to the indentation depth, and this effect is known as the indentation size effect, ISE. So this ISE is explained by using the concept of geometrically necessary dislocation, GND density, that is a type of the dislocation mechanism with deform inhomogeneity due and it will enhance the hardening effect of the material, especially for the low indentation depth. And previous study has shown the surface roughness is contribute to the ISE, in which the rougher surface will give you a higher hardness value. But it is still not clear how the rougher surface will yield the hardness value increase. And besides, the image on the right side shows Chen study the microindentation with roughness effect, and they only show the stress and strain distribution, but not for the GND density distribution. So although Dermier and Zevic has shows the GND density with the and it shows the GND density varies with the indentation depth, but they does not consider the surface roughness effect. So in current study, we will link the GND density with the surface roughness by using the crystal plasticity finite element analysis. And this present study consists of two methods. One is the experimental method and another one is the simulation method. So the simulation method will serve as the purpose to validate the simulation model and followed by the result and discussion. For the experimental method, copper 111 oriented plane is chosen for the current study, and it will undergo the mechanical polishing to produce three different types of surface roughness. The surface roughness is then measured by the atomic force microscopy, AFM. After the measurement, the indentation will be performed with a range of 0.245 to 1.962 Newton, and the diagonal of the indentation size will be measured by the Vickers hardness tester and is substituted into the equation to find the hardness value. So for the simulation method, the microindentation model is constructed in Abaqus, the material property will set out for the specimen, and 3 different types of the surface roughness is generated in MATLAB, and a boundary condition is set out for the bottom of the specimen by fixing them in a 0 degree of freedom, and the indenter can only be moved only in up and down direction with the range of 3.55 to 8.25 micrometer, and a crystal plasticity user material will be included into the Abaqus to find out the GND density distribution. So the model will be validated by comparing the experimental hardness value. So we can see that in the graph here, the hardness value of the simulation and experimental value were both in a good agreement for all 3 surface roughness, and this shows that the simulation result is reliable. And the severity of ISE increased for rougher surface because of the hardness is greater for the rougher surface and is more pronounced in low indentation depth. The GND density can explain that why the hardness value is higher in rougher and a lower indentation depth, and this graph shows the GND density is obtained from the simulation and is plotted against the surface roughness. So the GND density is found to be increased exponentially to the surface roughness, and it increased when the indentation load is lower. So as we know that the GND density is contribute to the hardening effect, and with the high presence of GND density, that's why it caused the hardness value to be higher. And the image here shows the GND density distribution with a various surface roughness and the indentation depth, and we can see that the rougher surface will have a stronger inhomogeneous distribution around the indentation. And ideally, for the maximum GND density in smooth surface, it should be located at the center of the indentation. But in this case, with the surface roughness effect, it can be found at the slant of the indentation, and this means that the GND is stored at the surface asperity, and it acts as an obstacle to restrict the dislocation motion. Besides that, the volume of GND is vary with the surface roughness, but at the same indentation depth. So the volume of GND can tell us the high or low of the GND density due to their relationship between is inversely proportional. So for example, for the smoother surface, the volume of GND have a higher volume, and therefore the GND density will be lower. And this behavior goes to the same for all the indentation depth. So in conclusion, we can know that the GND density actually causes the hardness value to increase in the rougher and the lower indentation depth, and we can see that their relationship is increased exponentially, and also the rougher surface tends to have the higher, stronger inhomogeneous distribution for the GND density. So that's all for my presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Is there any question from the floor?
Actually, we did not see her slide, you know. We only hear her voice.
I can see.
I thought I have shared it.
No, I only see your picture.
Okay, that's weird. So I think no question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kawei Mei.
Thank you.
So we move on to Mr. Saravanan. The last presentation for today. Mr. Saravanan, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me or not?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, good. Okay, give me a second. I share my
Alright.
screen. Okay.
No problem.
Can everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Can I just let me to check whether it's moving or not? Can all of you can see the second slide?
No, it's a bit laggy. It's still pending on the first page.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
I don't know something. Okay, I'll try again.
Are you using two screen?
Full screen mean what? Wait, I share again.
Mhm.
So on the screen, window and tab. Can I not? So I use a window here.
Yeah, better use your window.
Window. Okay or not? It's moving or not?
Yes, moving.
Moving. So I'll put it in this way. Okay. Very good morning to everyone. This is about a conceptual paper, the relationship between a service dimension and a service trade-off. Okay, the conceptual study, and this paper was presented in the NSMAC conference 2022. So guys, I can see that those that you presented just now, okay, they're very detailed. Okay, mine is quite different. Okay, I'm trying to give something insight. Okay, how to develop a new framework. Okay, to address the existing issues in the service industry. Okay, so these are my presentation outline, background of the study, research gaps, scope of studies, significance of studies, conceptual framework. Okay. Okay, let me to tell the story first before we start about explaining about my proposed new framework to address the trade-off in the service industry. So when looking into the simple thing that we have to know, okay, why we need to do this research. Okay, second is what we are trying to solve. Okay, and then next is about a rationale for conducting this research. Hey, my camera on or not? Oh, sorry, my camera off. So basically, you can see that service industries started to grow after the World War II, 1950, and then you can see very remarkable growth in the 1960s onwards. So most of the countries' manufacturing operations started to move towards the service operations, and then you can see that it's since 1960s they started to borrow a lot of concepts from the what you call it from manufacturing, from economics, and then started to apply into the service sector. In the 1969, Skinner reintroduce the concept of a trade-off into the manufacturing operation, and they started to measure the productivity variation. Okay? Before that, in 1776, in 18th century, Adam Smith, okay, very popular economist, introduced a division of labor in a 18th century, okay, and he started to look into the what you call it, the variation, okay, variation in productivity also, okay, and he started to question about capitalism during that time, okay. So when I'm looking at this, I mean, idea about a trade-off, okay, I was thinking about why not we borrow the idea from manufacturing and also economics and apply that into the service industry, okay. There's a needs, okay, lack of framework to understand the service trade-off being practiced by the service employees, especially frontliners, those are dealing with the customers. One of the biggest challenge for us, okay, when we're talking about this issue is about handling with the homogeneity and heterogeneity. Okay? So always remember, when you talk about homogeneity, okay, it is about a uniform process or activity that take place. So normally we are able to produce a reliable quality products. Okay? And homogeneity is, we can say, is actually very much matched with the manufacturing. In the service industry, we are dealing with the heterogeneity. One of the reasons is because, okay, when the service provider and they're delivering the services to the customers, both also need to be there. That is called as a simultaneously. Okay, service need to be offered, okay, simultaneously to the customers. So this is a quite different process when compared with the manufacturing operation. So we are dealing with the customer, okay, immediately. So all the service employees have their uniqueness when they're offering the services to the customers. So when the service employee is pursuing a multiple objective, okay, due to the resource constraint, due to the limited limited space, okay, and so on, okay, put us a difficult situation for service employees to offer uniform services to the customers. So they tend to trade off and tend to compromise when they're pursuing a multiple objective. It's a very common. Okay, so definitely priority is there. Okay? They always prioritize before, okay, delivering the important services to the customers. Okay, that is the things that actually enlightened me to look into this area. Okay, how we can actually enhance. As you all know that, okay, in a service marketing, okay, we have a very prominent scholars like Parasuraman, who introduced Parasuraman Barry Zethamal in 1985. They introduced a service so-called model, okay, to address the difference between service expectation and also service perception to achieve a highest customer satisfaction. Okay, they measure the customer satisfaction using a 5 popular variables. Known as a reliability, assurance, okay, tangible, empathy, and also responsiveness. Okay, so when you look at this, they try to measure the customer satisfaction using 5 variables here, and they use the mediator, customer perception, and also customer expectation. So I also looking into this, how we can actually propose a new model, okay, to address the trade-off, which is a quite serious issue, okay, in the service industry. It's why I'm saying this is very serious, because it will have a high impact on the quality. When you tend to trade off, when you tend to practice trade-off, when you're pursuing a multiple objective, okay, it always, okay, difficult for the customer to get the best service from you. When you tend to, like for example, when you are pursuing a multiple objective together, definitely you'll compromise one of them. So when you're compromising with one of them, okay, definitely the customer feel not happy with that. So this is a fine area that I feel that, okay, definitely will benefit the service managers, okay, in the future. How to handle with the trade-off and minimize the trade-off. It's very difficult for us to get rid of, okay, with the trade-off. Trade-off will be there because we are dealing with the service employees, and employees have their uniqueness. Okay, they have their own skill to deliver the services to the customers. So in that case, so our main aim here is to review the existing literature. So I take an initiative to look in the literature, existing literature. It's very difficult, guys. It's very difficult for us to identify some key variables that can help us to formulate or to create a theoretical framework. Theoretical framework. We cannot simply just choose the variable that you like. There must be a base. What circumstances, what base we are actually choosing that particular variable, because there are thousands and thousands variables that are available in the literature. So how to identify this actually will be the solid variable can explain our phenomena. So we want to identify what the root cause here. Remember, in a manufacturing operation, we have a root cause analysis, failure mode analysis, and then Pocoyoke, and then fishbone diagram. There are many, but it is all towards the manufacturing. Remember, manufacturing operation and service operation are two different things. Manufacturing operation, they're producing goods. Service operation, we are producing services. Goods are tangible, services are intangible. Goods, we can store, but services, we cannot store. Goods we can own, services are not owned. So the ownership. So coming back to here again, so to identify the right variable, how to plug, how to pick, how to choose the variable is a very challenging, because we want to have something like we want to establish what we call it a theoretical framework that can explain my phenomena here. Phenomena means trade-off. The issue here is a trade-off. So guys, like what I say here, just want to build a model, a conceptual model. We need to identify the right variable. And it's easy for me to say it's the right variable, but the thing is, I take around 10 years to understand the entire scenario here. What I'm actually proposing to all of you is actually the outcome of my 10 years studies, about a trade-off. So these are the, like what I mentioned to you, research gaps. So definitely, this conceptual framework able to guide a new initiative to propose a new framework to identify trade-off in the service sector. As I mentioned to you, most of the previous studies actually focusing on a manufacturing operation and also economic field. And then now, I'm trying to integrate. I'm looking at the key service dimensions. Like service flexibility, serviceability, service capacity and demand, service design, and service process. Put them together into a framework, and then use a mediator. Mediator, I will explain to you later. To predict my service trade-off. So definitely, I believe that this proposed framework able to help the manager to identify the root cause of the service trade-off. And also by identifying the service trade-off, we are able to propose to the human resource department to identify appropriate training to the staff to handle different tasks with a high efficiency. Okay, this is the key variable that I'm using in my framework. So as mentioned to you guys, service process, service flexibility, service priorities, priorities, share services are my mediators. And my key independent variables are service capacity and demand, serviceability, service design, service process, and service flexibility. The framework is like this. So you can see the 5 frameworks here. There's no rules here to choose. We must have 5 variables or 6 variables. No such thing. From my thorough review on the literature, I found these variables are good to explain about my service trade-off. Definitely I need. Definitely when I choose my mediator, I also review my articles, a lot of articles, and found this is actually a good to be my mediator, to explain the effect on my service trade-off. So as I mentioned to you guys, okay, it is not easy, okay, to develop conceptual framework. Okay, so I'm not a Michael Porter. Okay, when you look at a Michael Porter, okay, he is able to come out with 5 clauses. Okay, just get some of the what you call it 5 variables. 5 variables, and then today that variables are very powerful variable to explain about a competitiveness in the industry. Similar to that, okay, I'm also studying other variables in in service marketing, and how I can actually contribute to the service industry with a new variable. For information, I also publish, okay, one article in Emerald on this. I should share with all of you. Okay, this this article is actually published last year May, okay, May 2022. It's about exploring factor influence service trade-off in the higher education sector, and this is a full paper that is available. And I actually I mentioned about what do you call it, STM model, my own model. Wait, I mentioned somewhere here. STM. You can read, check and see. I mentioned about proposing STM model, my own model, service trade-off model. So this is the literature that is the conceptual framework. And this is a full paper. Remember, when we are actually proposing a theoretical framework, what I covered here is a very, very limited one, okay, because the full paper. But that I'm going to publish right now about a theoretical framework is about a conceptual paper, it will be a full paper. So you will have a, what do we call it, the reason, okay, why actually I have chosen this, okay, what base, why these variables are, I believe that it's very powerful to explain my service trade-off. And I can see now, okay, a lot of people actually downloading my article, okay, downloading my article. So maybe next year, this model can be one of the good model can be accepted by among the academician and also service managers to solve the existing problems in a service industry. That is my main purpose here. Okay. Okay. Any question? I'm done. Any question? So far, all clear? Office? I'm done, Office. Hi, chào Huy. Huh? Hafiz?
Yes, Sarah, you have finished? Hafiz, Hazim, are you there?
Any question? No.
Hazim? Okay, I think if there's no more questions, I think all presenters have completed their presentation.
Okay.
Park is unable to join this round, so he will be joining next round. And therefore, I thank you all the presenters. And that's all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.